Hey, I'm Shelly Wellness, and we're celebrating Kwanzaa. You are invited to dinner, but before we eat, I want to show you what I cooked. All of the recipes I'm going to share are connected to one of the Kwanzaa principles. They're all available in the downloadable Kwanzaa recipe guide in the link below. And each recipe that we're going to make today is going to help you harvest the bounty in your well-being. And each principle that we're going to celebrate today is going to help you harvest a very fruitful year. So come, let me show you. To celebrate our first principle, Umoja, which means unity, I invited my people together to enjoy this meal, and I hope you invite your loved ones to join you at home as well. We're celebrating Kujichagulia, which means self-determination. Now, I created this dish, and I call it Oshun's offering, as a way to practice self-determination. I enjoy desserts, but I don't always enjoy the effect that they leave in and on my body, especially when they're made from white sugar, white flour, white butter. You get my drift. They tend to make me inflamed. And since the principle of Kujichagulia is about determining oneself, I'd rather eat something that will contribute to my well-being rather than my feeling ill or diseased. So Oshun's offering is a sweet contribution to my body temple, and it's made with ripe plantain, roasted butternut squash, and sweet potato, and it's dressed in a delicious spice syrup and zested with the sweetness of orange. It will definitely leave your taste buds happy and your body seeded with the principle of Kujichagulia. The next principle we're celebrating is Ujima, which means collective work and responsibility. So I'm serving Sorrell because the ingredients collectively work to make this drink. Whether you call it agua de Jamaica, bisap, or Sorrell, this drink requires spices, water, and hibiscus flowers to come together in harmony. Drinking this principle is a reminder that we're all called to do our work, and we take responsibility for our roles, our lives, our families, our homes, our businesses, our communities, and ultimately our world. And when we do, we all thrive. The next principle we're celebrating is Ujaama, which means cooperative economics. Now, supporting local businesses builds the community. Supporting Black businesses builds the community. So on my Kwanzaa holiday table, I'm supporting Black businesses, and I'm bringing two ancient grains to the party, fonio and jollof rice. Now, this brand of fonio I'm using is yolele. They come in unflavored or plain, and other flavors that really highlight the contributions of African cuisine, including jollof, yassa, dawa dawa, and moringa greens. So for our Kwanzaa dinner, I'm going to use jollof fonio and make jollof rice. Now, if you know anything about the jollof wars, then you know that Ghana and Nigeria cannot cooperate and decide who's best, even though we all know it's Senegal. So, if you're interested in making jollof, you may be struggling to choose a recipe. Perhaps you gave that Trader Joe's version a try and you were highly disappointed, and maybe you just don't want to go through all the work, right? So if you're making jollof rice for the first time and you want some expert assistance, try Essie Spice. She's done half of the work for you and provides all of the Ghanaian goodness of the sauce in a jar. So all you gotta do, bring the rice, bring the pot, bring the water, and about an hour later, you have jollof and Ujaama. The next principle we're celebrating is Nia, which means purpose. Now, to honor this principle, we're making red, a dish from Ghana made with black-eyed peas cooked in palm oil. My version is vegan, and I'm subbing the dried shrimp that's used with powdered nori to still give that flavor. Now back to Nia, aka purpose. My purpose is to remind people that food is also their medicine. And if you're feeling levels of dis-ease, discomfort, or illness in your body, you may want to reconsider the food on your plate. especially if you're disconnected from your cultural or ancestral foodways because of colonization. It could be that your eating of colonized foods is not serving your indigenous body. My purpose is to help you decolonize your diet by reminding you / reintroducing you to foods, ingredients, and recipes across the African diaspora. What's your purpose? The next principle we're celebrating is Kuumba, which means creativity. To honor this principle, we're making jackfruit kebabs. As a plant-based eater, I've had to use a lot of creativity in the kitchen. With a Jamaican mom and a Southern Black American dad, I grew up around meat-centric meals. And when I initially switched my diet, I still modeled my vegetarian and vegan plates around the idea that there should be a meat-like substitute in my meal. So when I'm desiring that texture, I channel Kuumba. In this Kwanzaa dinner, I made jackfruit kebabs. And I freestyled the seasoning because that's what creativity is for. As for you at home watching and making this, I encourage you to do the same. Follow my recipe for jackfruit kebabs, which you can find in the downloadable Kwanzaa recipes guide, and channel your own Kuumba and flavor it to your liking. Now, last but not least, we are celebrating Imani, which means faith. To honor this principle, we're going to be making gomen, an Ethiopian dish made with collard greens spiced with ginger and garlic. I'm going to be using kale as a substitute, but if you have collard greens, you can combine them or use either or. Either ways, it's going to taste delicious. Now, back to Imani. In 2014, I had an opportunity to serve as Queen Afua's assistant. And one of the things she used to always say is, God is in the greens. And when I heard it, it shifted my perspective on food and restored my faith in its ability to heal. Now, after that, I started including greens in almost every meal, including my breakfast. And when I eat greens, I can feel them repairing the wrongs. I can feel it enhancing rights. I can feel it restoring songs, the ones that live deep inside of me. I can feel it removing blocks. I can feel it co-writing my future body in tandem with the wisdom that's already embedded in my DNA. I'm here to tell y'all that God is in the greens. And every time I eat them, my faith is renewed and restored. And every time you eat them, your faith will be renewed and restored. Eating greens is an excellent way to connect to Imani. So grab your plate and come get some. So as we move into Kwanzaa this season, y'all, I ask you to ask yourself, how would your meals change if you brought these principles onto your daily plate so that you could become the version of yourself that you're celebrating this holiday? I want you to remember that we are wired to generate energy through our words. And if we decide to eat our principles and elevate our ingredients, imagine the upliftment for our bodies, our communities, and our planet. Get the recipes that I've shared with you in the downloadable Kwanzaa recipe guide, and I wish y'all a happy Kwanzaa. Until next time, eat well, principle well, and be well.